Oi, 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 Yui. Homelander done raped me and took me bloody wife and son. Womp womp. The Boys, Invincible, Sacred Geometry, and Profane Algebra. The Boys is over. The Boys is over. It happened. We had The Boys. We had the show. We had 5 seasons of The Boys. Now it's done. We had it. We had the memes. We had the laughs. That's all going away. I think that The Boys manifested into something that Eric Kripke, the creator, was not expecting. Because when you are a creative, whenever you are making a thing, you put your essence into that, right? I'm a songwriter, and I hope and pray that my songs will still be listened to by people when I'm dead, right? My essence, myself as a person, I that lives on in my art, right? And that's why I've been talking more about art on my channel recently, because art is something important that you can make that will inspire people, and it can do good. Even when you're dead, you can still leave an impact and inspire people. Look at Johann Sebastian Bach. His music didn't get popular until after he died. I mean, you have people like Jimi Hendrix, Nirvana, Prince, Michael Jackson. Their legacy lives on, right? And The Boys will definitely be something that people still think and talk about after Eric Kripke, the creator of the show, after he dies. Maybe it's just going to be me and my friends in nursing homes talking about it, talking about, the memes. But the point still remains, it lives on past him, right? So as a creator, you put your essence into the thing that you're creating, right? So Eric Kripke, the creator of the show, The Boys, is almost like a look into his brain, right? Because this is his inner world manifest. This is his inner world that he has carefully and meticulously crafted to be a commentary of the world, but specifically America. We're punk rock. If you have to say you're punk rock, you're not punk rock. The Boys manifested into something more powerful than what Eric Kripke, the creator, more powerful than what he ever thought it would be. It took him by surprise, and he was seduced by the dark side of the force of creating, right? There's the light side of the force of creating and the dark side of the force of creating, right? On the light side, we have the Invincible series, the Invincible franchise, a franchise that actually has good morals and good developments in the show. It makes me want to be a better person. It shows you the perils and plights of toxic masculinity. It shows you the problems with it. The problems with the problems with a might makes right civilization, which is the Viltrumites. That's their whole thing, is might makes right. All is ours because we can take it, right? And then The Boys, on the other hand, is it's almost become an Ouroboros, but instead of a snake eating itself, it's just Eric Kripke sucking his own dick. He's become the guy that can clone himself and do human centipede stuff, and we'll talk more about that later. Oi, 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 Yui. Homelander done raped me and took me bloody wife and son. Womp womp. In the back of the boobo. Fucking diabolical, mate.
The Boys, one thing that I really liked about The Boys is that it started off like as a jab at Disney, right? And there were like levels to that because yeah, it's like a meta like it's like a meta superhero show, but also VOT is as a company, like they're not a good company. They're a bad company that injure a lot of people and get a lot of people killed, right? And they're very clearly the Disney of this universe. And it was very engaging for the viewer because it was a good premise. Vought was like this Disney, but this Disney on V, because it was like, Disney plus Fox News, and in this universe, superheroes are also real, and they're owned by Vought. Like imagine if all the Marvel heroes were real, and they were owned by Disney, and Disney also owned like Fox News. Like that would be scary if that was like a company that was allowed to exist in America. That's a good premise. That's very like I'm getting excited just thinking about that. And there were other cool elements too, like Homelander constantly like, oh, is he finally gonna lose it? Is he finally gonna crack? Because you see that more and more. You start the show, you think he's like a well put together, like reserved guy, and then the end of the first episode, like, oh, he's crazy. He's lasering planes in half for this mommy milker mommy that he wants. And a season 3, like you start to see him like talking to the mirror and shit, and it's like really crazy. And he also gets more and more deprived in his like sexual relations, because he starts off pretty deprived, like with Madeline Stillwell, and then he kills her, and it's a whole thing. And you can see that he used to bang Maeve, and that seemed cool. And you know then he gets with Stormfront, and then Stormfront kills herself, and it's a whole thing. Oh, and he fucks the shapeshifter or something. That's a thing too. But by season 3, it's kind of weird, and he starts to become an asexual weirdo, which carries on into seasons 4 and 5. And like the show just shifted. Like they had a good thing going. They kind of, Vought started to be like a caricature stuff of itself. Stan Edgar kind of used to be a caricature of himself, and like everyone just became a caricature of themselves. They, rather than this deep character that's engaging with meaning, they just became like a avatar for what the creators of the show wanted to convey through allegory. And around season 3, whenever he gives that speech to Starlight about how he's going to start with the Pentagon and infrastructure, and it's a whole thing. Like I wanted to see that unveil. I wanted to see him talking into the mirror more in season 5, and that just being crazy. Like these are missed opportunities, right? Gen V got canceled, and that was a whole thing. That was stupid, bad, unintelligent, lazy writing. I cannot believe that people got paid money to think of that decision. And the ending was a half-hearted, partially erect climax that shows you behind the scenes what the creator's idea of a happy ending is, which is sad for not only him but his wife, right? Side note, I do think it's funny that a child murdering sex addict, drug addict character on The Boys was loved by everyone, and it wasn't until they found out he was an IDF soldier that everyone was like, "Yeah, fuck this guy." But I get it. Hey, it makes him more believable as Frenchie, right? He was method acting, kind of like the new Black Noir. There's a lesson in there somewhere. So the show manifested into something more powerful than what Eric Kripke had ever hoped or dreamed, and it seduced him. And instead of The Boys being a satire on Marvel and everything that Marvel got wrong and did wrong, it became a thing where he was like, oh, well, now I have a platform to talk about the issues that I care about. And it's ironic, he became the very thing that he sought to destroy. The Boys became the new Marvel. It became a show that took itself too seriously. And the writers, they started to see this. They started to see the way that people on the internet interacted with them. And so they tried to get ahead of it. The creator, Eric Kripke, he started saying things like, oh, we're making it bad on purpose. It's a satire on how things are bad. It's bad on purpose. That makes it good. And just seeing some of the quotes he said, like what do you mean nothing happened? A lot of this stuff happened, but because it's not pew pew bang bang, you're acting like nothing's happening. Man, this just isn't the show for you. The audacity to make a bad show and then just tell people that it's not for them when you get called out on it being a bad show, it's not a good look as a creative. It shows a very rigid
mindset. There's no openness of mind. He doesn't have an open mind. He has a very hardened heart. He has a very rigid mindset. And I understand why, because that's his world. Once again, he put his life essence into this thing. The Boys is Eric Kripke. Eric Kripke is The Boys. These two things are one flesh. They are one and the same, right? That's an extension of him as a person, right? So of course he's going to defend it unconditionally. Oi, 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 you here. Homelander done bloody raped me in the back of the book of the Beppo. Fucking diabolical. I used to love The Boys. I was the apologist for The Boys in my friend group. Have you taken time to watch The Boys? Right? That was me. I was making sure I was checking in on my friends. I was making sure they were watching The Boys. I was making sure they were up to date on everything boys related. I was The Boys' number one guy. Oi, cunt. And Eric Kripke can't handle it like at all, and he's coping super hard, and he's losing in an argument with Elon on X. He's losing to Elon in a Twitter argument. He is chronically online, and he's losing to other people who's chronically online. Like, he can't even win at being chronically online. That's how down bad this guy is. Like, it's fucking pathetic. Like, honestly, Elon, I think that you kind of owned his ass on this one. So good job. And hey, didn't forget about the Godzilla game. We got to make this Godzilla game, man. Maybe we'll do something like I don't know. We can write Eric Kripke into the movie and Godzilla right into the game. We can write Eric Kripke into the game, and like Godzilla can step on him or something. You know why the Spice Girls are so special? Because they done bloody raped me wife and took me bloody son. Womp womp. Elon. Elon. I know you didn't like The Boys either. You and me are friends. We're kindred spirits. Elon, help me make the Godzilla video game. Please. I'll fucking I'll suck your dick. I'll eat shit on live TV if you help me make the Godzilla video game. I had to for the meme. No, I'm not doing any of that. But seriously, Elon, please help me make the Godzilla video game.